Thank you very much. Welcome to the Naples Mac User Group Wednesday meetings, March 17th. Welcome to all of our members from all over the world. This meeting takes place each and every week at 11:30 on a Wednesday. You must be a member of Naples Mac User Group to attend these meetings. We have 44 of these weekly meetings a year. Classes are moving right along. We really have 2 classes left. The class that's a week from Saturday is the bonus class, which is for members only. It's a free class. It's a free take control book. Of course, your free video of the class after the class. And like I said, it's for Naples MUG members only, and it's managing your files by Jeff Carlson. And the way to register for the class is to just send an email to Eckert and put in the subject area bonus class. The class this Saturday is using Zoom and FaceTime during COVID. And this is by Dan Wazink is back with us. He did the iPhoto app class. And this is a critical class for all of us because we all utilize Zoom for all of our meetings and classes and for, I'm sure, many activities in our personal life today. These 2 folks are responsible for the smooth operation of our meetings. Eckert, class registrar and Zoom genius, and Sheeta, who's now the class planner for 2022 and also moderates all of our meetings and works with our class instructors and speakers before the meetings. Thank you very much to the both of you. A week from today is one of our own members, Joe Grillo. Exactly, as a matter of fact, I think I'm wrong. That's 2 weeks from today. And he's going to be reviewing a great free Apple app called Preview. And you will be amazed at what you can do with Preview. It's many of our members rave about it, and many of our members have no idea what it does. And Joe will take us through many of the features of Preview, and you will be shocked at what you can do with it. The meeting next week is Dennis Giacomo, and Dennis just sent me an email this morning, and he will be covering these 4 points down below: SSD drives, and the mega importance of multiple backups, forensic recovery failures, especially with data encryption enabled, third-party antivirus, anti-spyware, and disk utilities are not needed and can cause problems with the behavior of your Mac. And the current trends in identity theft and fraud. So there will be a lot of discussion about a lot of things in this meeting. And please bring your questions that deal with any of these issues. Today's meeting is by our Dale Stephan, who is our member from Saginaw, Michigan, who's president of the Mackinac Mac Users Group in Midland, and a member of Naples Mac User Group. And it's all yours, Dale, and welcome and thank you very much.
Excuse me, George, before we hand it over to Dale, I would like to make a 2-minute comment. I have a reason to do that because today is an anniversary. And please spare these 2 minutes with me. It's a year ago in mid-March that the nationwide lockdown began. The Naples library was closed and Naples MUG had its very first full Zoom meeting. Wayne Mertz gave a presentation on hearing devices. It was pure serendipity that we were able to use Zoom ahead of anyone else in our industry. We began to test Zoom in the late 2019s to replace the cumbersome photo equipment that George Rubin used to record our Wednesday meetings. We soon discovered the tremendous potential that Zoom offered to improve video and audio quality and to reach a much greater audience for us. In mid-March a year ago, we were ready to continue our course. COVID-19 could not stop us. Now, a year later, we are different. We have become an attractive international organization and are growing. Our meetings and classes have reached professional standards. Since last March, we have conducted 46 Wednesday meetings and 10 classes with Zoom. One additional personal observation. Zoom certainly has had a significant impact on our society. Personally, for a year now, I have worked very closely with many members of our organization, meeting them only over Zoom. We no longer meet physically and perhaps never will again. And yet, we have mutually established a great working relationship thanks to Zoom. A year ago, this very concept was unthinkable. Our world has found a new exciting form of togetherness. Is virtual our new virtue? Am I missing the physical meetings? Intuitively, my answer is yes. But then I hesitate, as the new Zoom virtual reality is getting closer and closer to the real thing. In some instances, it seems to be better. Thank you. And now it's all yours, Dale.
Thank you very much, Eckert, for that. I really appreciate that interesting fact that today is the anniversary. Great.
All right, thank you. I'll start sharing as soon as George stops sharing.
Okay, Dale, your voice is very low.
Okay, I'll speak louder. Okay, so let's get started.
It's still very low, Dale.
All right, I'll sit closer. I'm planning on covering the following items. Is DuckDuckGo a search engine or a browser? And why would I even want to use it? So, okay, how does it work? And is it good? Is it as good as Google search? And if you say, okay, I'm sold, then how do you install it? And what if I don't want to load yet another app on my device? Can I keep using Safari? And finally, what about my iPhone? So DuckDuckGo is a search engine that offers their own browser, and they're also an add-in extensions for some existing browsers. DuckDuckGo provides privacy. You can see from the numbers here that they have been around for 12 years and are close to 2 billion searches each and every month. DuckDuckGo makes their money through search ads. For example, if you search for a dishwasher, you'll still see ads for dishwashers. So they do sell these ads, but what doesn't happen with DuckDuckGo is that the dishwasher people don't know who you are. So they only know that someone is searching for a dishwasher. So you won't see ads for dishwashers when you go to, say, Facebook. They also get affiliate partnerships. So if you follow the search result link to, say, Amazon, Amazon will pay them a small fee providing the link. But again, Amazon doesn't know anything about your search history, only that you followed their link. And again, it's very different than Google. DuckDuckGo doesn't collect, analyze, or sell your interests, your past purchases, your current location, your estimated income, your home location, your work location, your age, your sex, etc., to anyone. Maintaining a reasonable level of online privacy is the key driver to using DuckDuckGo. Be advised that incognito mode in your current browser isn't really private. It eliminates your local search history, meaning your spouse or your kids can't see your history. But Google and Facebook sure can. That's not really incognito then, is it? So if you're still getting ads following you around on the internet, remember Google isn't really a search company, it's an advertising company. That's why they have trackers installed on 3/4 of the world's top websites. Here's one reason you don't want to be tracked online: being overcharged just because you use Apple products. Look at this Staples example where a stapler is $1.50 more for an Apple user than for a non-Apple user. That's just plain wrong. DuckDuckGo doesn't use Google search servers. That's a false rumor, except for YouTube searchers. And that's only because Google owns YouTube, so they have to use Google. Overall search engine is completely different. So now we'll look at the DuckDuckGo browser interface. Starting at the left edge, we have the standard go forward and go back buttons. Next are the bookmarks. Search bars at the top. And frequently visited sites are auto-populated for easy access. You can see your open tabs across the top. And you can open a new tab with the plus button. The fire icon will close and destroy all the open tabs. Notice that's just not the current tab, but all of them. So that's when you want to wipe out your entire session. And the little box at the top right shows all your open windows or tabs as thumbnails. So the number in the box is the number of open tabs. Finally, we have the settings at the top right. It's the standard gear icon. One of the features of DuckDuckGo is a privacy letter grade. In this example, this site has been graded B. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible either. And you can get more information. It's available about the site regarding its encryption, the number of network trackers they use, and their privacy policies. That's how they derive the grade. Another feature of DuckDuckGo is the ability to use iOS widgets. Here are the 3 new widgets available in iOS: the small, simple widget, the medium widget with a few suggested sites, and a large one with up to a dozen suggestions. They also have what they call a bang search feature that allows you to search inside a site for a keyword. Bang is just a programmer slang for the exclamation mark. DuckDuckGo combines the bang with a short site reference to make it quick. Here's an example. So again, bang searches are within a specific website instead of across all websites. Examples include Bang A for Amazon and Bang Maps for Maps. DuckDuckGo has over 13,000 predefined Bang shortcuts. In this case, I'm going to ask DuckDuckGo to search Amazon for SSD computer solid state drives, so I can type in Bang A space and SSD. And bang, I'm in Amazon looking at SSD drives. I skipped the general search results page entirely and went right to my goal, SSD drives on Amazon. You can also be as explicit as you want. So here's the same example of Bang search specifying I want to just look at OWC SSD drives on Amazon. So you can see this time Amazon is just focusing on OWCs. So people wonder if it's as good as Google searches. Here's a comparison of Safari using Google versus DuckDuckGo. I've searched for, do crows fly south for the winter? So I'll zoom in. We see quality references from both search engines and significant overlap. Google is on the left. Both show Cornell and phys.org on their first search results page. I find both search engines to be quite good. Okay, so you think you might want DuckDuckGo on your phone. Here's how. You open the App Store, search for Duck, press Get and install. It's free. And if you want to use it on your Mac, you open the Mac App Store, search for Duck, then press Get for DuckDuckGo Privacy Essentials. There really isn't a Mac browser for DuckDuckGo. And they've also disabled the loading of the iPad version on your M1 Mac. But that's okay, because Essentials app adds the key features to the existing Safari browser. So follow the normal process for downloading and installing the Essentials, with the caveat that you have to be on version 10.15. So you can't use the old versions of the OS. If you want to keep using Safari, load Essentials, and then set DuckDuckGo as your default browser. To do this, go to Safari Preferences, pick the Search tab, and change the default search engine from Google to DuckDuckGo. There's a shortcut method shown at the bottom of the screen. You can just click on the magnifying glass in the search box, then select your preferred search engine there. iOS has the same ability to select the default search engine, but here the preferences are in Settings / Safari, and then look for the search engine and change it to DuckDuckGo. So just to be clear, the search engine is available in non-DuckDuckGo browsers, and the full DuckDuckGo browser is also available as an alternative to Safari in iOS. In summary, DuckDuckGo offers both a search engine and a browser for more complete privacy. It's one of the top-rated online privacy tools available. It works similar to Google, but without all the ad tracking creepy part, and it works with major browsers. I highly recommend DuckDuckGo, although I don't like the name. So that's it in a nutshell. Do we have any questions?
Question.
Go ahead.
Is it easy to toggle back and forth between Google and DuckDuckGo?
Absolutely. You can toggle back and forth quickly. I can show you actually if I share my screen again. Hurry up. Bring up a new tab. If you just click on the little search icon, you can change it to Google. And when you do your search, it goes right to, I picked a random term that happened to be a web page. How unusual is that? So there I get a Google search. I click on that again, change it back to DuckDuckGo, and now I get a DuckDuckGo search. You can use others too. Preloaded, we got Yahoo, Bing, and that one, Ecosia. I'm not sure how you say it.
Yeah, it's Mitch.
Yep.
I switched over to this on all my iOS devices and on my Mac a few months ago. And I tried it a few years ago, and I did find a pretty big difference between Google and DuckDuckGo. But now I don't notice that big of a difference at all. I think they've really made improvements over the last couple of years. I'd be interested in your comments on that. And I'd like to know where all these Bang shortcuts are. Do they list them somewhere?
I had the same experience with you in the earlier versions of DuckDuckGo. Their search engine wasn't quite up to the same level as Google. Google's always been the gold standard. But now I find that everything I'm looking for is available usually on the first screen using DuckDuckGo, and I don't have to go back to Google. I think they just finally progressed over time and reached that level. With regard to all the Bang searches, if you go to DuckDuckGo's homepage, they will show you the searches or the Bangs, and somewhere around here. You'd have to search for it. Bang searches. So there's where I copied the page, and they have them broken down by category, so you can just search for them there.
All right, thank you.
All right, Sharon. Sharon, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Hi, so what if you use Chrome for your browser and search? I teach history with one of the local universities, and I use Chrome for the school software. So can I still use DuckDuckGo?
Well, I wouldn't see much of a point in using DuckDuckGo if you're using Google's Chrome, because that provides them with all the tools to continue to track you regardless of which search engine you're using, because they actually have access to all that data.
Is DuckDuckGo even available in Chrome?
Not to my knowledge, but
Yeah.
could be wrong.
Did you show how you can set, I may have missed this, how you can set DuckDuckGo in the Safari browser?
I did. I showed two
Okay.
techniques. One is with the clicking on the search. I always have a hard time with the word for that.
Search bar?
No, the little glass, the looking glass.
Okay.
You can either change it here, which is really easy, or you can go up to preferences, Safari preferences, and do it through there.
Okay.
But yeah, I showed that.
Okay. Marcia, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, hi. I have already set all my preferences to DuckDuckGo, but when I go into Safari, I still go to Google first. So what is the difference between the app DuckDuckGo and what I'm doing? Setting preferences to DuckDuckGo.
Is this happening on your iOS device or your Mac?
No, I've done it on all. I've just set, like what you did in the preferences, set it to DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
Then I go into Safari, and my homepage is Google. So do I need to get the app, or how is it different from what you are describing using the app?
So when you get a new page, it doesn't look like my favorites page here that I'm showing?
No, it looks like Google.
Oh, then you probably have set your
I did.
page preference to be
But
Google.
how is this, since I've already set everything is DuckDuckGo, do I really need the app DuckDuckGo?
They recommend that you load the Essentials extension in terms of using it with Safari because it has better control over the security. On your iPad, no, you don't need to use the DuckDuckGo browser.
Okay,
It's purely your own call there.
so get the extension in Safari.
Get the extension for Safari, yeah.
Okay.
It'll load and it'll be transparent after that.
All right, thanks.
What about the DuckDuckGo apps that you can use on the iOS devices? Do you recommend using those instead of using the browser, the Safari browser?
I do have the DuckDuckGo browser on my phone and my iPad, and I do use them, but I use them interchangeably with Safari. That gives me an alternative if a site doesn't load well in one of the browsers. I have just as much security and I can use a separate browser. So it's a nice option to have, but you don't have to in terms of having security. Safari on the iPad with a DuckDuckGo search engine will be just as secure.
Okay. All right, Conrad, I'm getting to everybody, so be patient. Conrad, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, Google has some features that go back to the Boolean algebra that was the original basis for Google and search engines. Can you do some advanced search features with DDG as well?
I don't know the answer to that because I don't use a search engine at that level. I would have to do more research on that. I just don't know.
Okay,
Can you
Richard.
can Conrad sort of explain what he's asking?
You're asking me, George?
Yeah.
The logic of Google search engines and all search engines goes back to the fundamentals of Boolean algebra, which has simple and or operators, and from there is where Google took off and made it user friendly.
Okay.
Okay, Richard Cox, do you have a question? You unmuted your mic.
The problem with DuckDuckGo is it uses Bing and Yahoo as search engines, and they're just crummy. Before we had this session, I rechecked, and if you do a search, Google wins hands down. But you can use Google without it tracking you through Start Page. It is the same as DuckDuckGo, but it uses Google as its search engine, just stripping out the identifiers like DuckDuckGo does. But you get Google search results without Google tracking you individually.
Okay.
All right.
Were you familiar with that, Dale?
No, and I quite frankly, I don't trust things that Google says they're doing or not doing. So
Google isn't saying this. It's Start Page. One word. It's a European company. Their whole business is the same as DuckDuckGo.
okay.
They just use the Google search engine, but they strip out the personal identifiers, and it's the same procedure. They make money just like DuckDuckGo off generic advertising, but not specific to you. But it's the best search engine.
Okay. So it's an alternative to DuckDuckGo.
All right, Richard, can you put some information about that in the chat?
Can I put a link in there?
Yes, you
Yes.
can.
Okay, there's a link. Let me see if I can. I'll put a link in there.
All right, thank you so much, Richard.
Start Page and a comparison of it in DuckDuckGo.
Okay,
Great.
all right, James Corsica, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
I'm sorry if this is similar to Marcia's, but I'm a little confused by it. When I go to settings for Safari and search engine, DuckDuckGo comes up as one of the choices along with Bing and Yahoo and Google, but I never did anything to get DuckDuckGo.
Right. Apple offers you the choice now to have the additional search engines. I believe they're the ones who pre-populated that list. Loading the essentials application on your Mac just provides more background tools for Safari. You don't have to have the essentials in order to use the search engine. So that's why it shows up.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
All right, Alan, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. Can you tell me how Bing compares to Google and DuckDuckGo?
I've never found Bing to be up to the same par, although it's not a bad search engine. But as people have noted, Google really is the gold standard of search engines. But my concern is that we pay a price for using it. I've used Bing often. In some ways, they find different videos, so they're good if you're looking for different images or videos to leverage for a web page search. Because sometimes I need references for cars that we're going to be presenting at SAE. So I'll use Bing for that. But for my general searches, I've never been all that happy with just using straight Bing.
Does Bing shell like Google or shell like GoGo?
To my understanding, I'm not an expert on Bing, but they're making their revenue similar to how Google is making their revenue. Google certainly has more across the web tracking, so they know everything you've purchased at any major site. I don't know that Bing goes to that level, but they can certainly tell where you live. They can certainly estimate what your net worth or income is based on the neighborhood you live in, and those type of features. And they can start cross-referencing you with Facebook.
Thank you.
Robert Kennedy, can you ask your question?
Yeah, it's not so much a question as a comment that in system preferences, general, you can also choose your browser. And if that sits on one or the other, that might cause some confusion.
Oh, that's a good point, because if you're opening a link from like an email or a messages or even your calendar, it's going to pick that default browser. So that's an excellent point, Robert.
Can you show that, Dale?
Oh, sure. I have to look for it.
Sorry.
Oh, where was it, Robert? I'm sorry.
System preferences.
Oh, yeah, no problem. My mind goes blank when I start looking sometimes.
Oh, that's all right. We'll wade you through it. Robert, where did you say it was?
Bob, where are you?
Bob Kennedy.
He answered the question in ring.
General. And down there.
Oh, there it is.
Default.
So Safari, okay. Google Chrome, and Firefox default browser. So again, that's when you click a link in an email, which browser it's going to open. And then inside the browser is where it decides, or you tell it which search engine you're going to use. So it's a two-step process.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Dale.
Yeah.
Okay. John Lane, do you want to ask your question?
Yes. Names always fascinate me and have done for many, many years. How did DuckDuck get named from it? It's an unusual sort of name, I think, but I'm curious.
Yeah, I read up on that, and they said that they just grabbed onto the old children's nursery rhyme, DuckDuckGo, and went with it. I I really don't like it. It's too hard to say.
So it comes from a nursery rhyme. Oh, well, I'll look that up. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Roger Bader, can you please unmute yourself and talk about your comment in the chat? Roger Bader, still here? Roger, you're here.
Well, I tried this space bar. It didn't work. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. And you're doing fine, Sheeta, but it's pronounced border, like Esther,
Okay.
without an L, just a B.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You bet.
Mhm.
Dale, the question I have is, you made early on a comment that Facebook doesn't follow you or any of the other ones. Well, yesterday I had used DuckDuckGo. Now, to be fair to you, I need to go into my settings and look to see if I have everything set the way it should be. But I had used DuckDuckGo, and I use that all the time. And I am getting kickback from going into a specific website, and I'll tell you the one that I used, that I looked at, and what has occurred. It was Wolby Parker, which is a optical lens outfit that you can get at home. After that, on Facebook, I'm getting a flood of optical advertising for different ones that I've never even heard of.
Mhm.
And I had not gotten anything from them prior to me using DuckDuckGo for a specific thing. Now, I did go into their website, other than the Bang, like you talked about, which I wasn't familiar with. So it wasn't Amazon that came back. It was I don't remember. I didn't open them up, so I don't want them following me either. But it seems to me that something from DuckDuckGo is getting to someone, and they're following. Then they're putting it on my Facebook. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your comment. I suspect it was a tracking feature from within the website you visited. So if you do use DuckDuckGo and then go visit one of those major sites, if Google has a tracking feature there, they will know that you visited that site, regardless of whose engine you use to search. So there's still that end run that Google makes. The difference is Google wasn't aware of the number of searches and the number of sites that you rejected before you went to the final site. So they don't know your search history.
Okay.
It's not a perfect solution, but it's a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Well, it's not coming directly to me in email form, which I'm thankful for. So it's something that I can ignore. I ignore most of Facebook anyway, but it's something that I can ignore very easily. It's when they start sending it directly to me, then I start getting really upset. So, and I have not had that with DuckDuckGo. There, I get nothing directly, knocking on wood, so far from using them as a search engine. So that part I'm thankful for, but otherwise, okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Dale.
And I do find the tracking a little creepy. I don't have a problem with personalized ads per se, if I'm looking for something I want help with. But if I've got somebody in my family who happens to have just been diagnosed with say diabetes, and I start doing some web searches for diabetes so I can understand what they're going through, all of a sudden Facebook thinks I've got diabetes and wants to give me some recommendations and recommend articles. And that I don't like. That I don't like at all.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, George.
Is it correct that China does not use Google or allow Google?
I don't know. I know they've gone through some things. I thought that they allow Google, but they control what Google's allowed to return to their users. So it has to be basically approved by the state.
So they can't do all of this tracking in China.
Well, they can't see what we can see now.
And what about the
I think the state
European?
does all the tracking. But
What about the European Union?
EU?
Yeah,
Um,
different rules.
it's definitely different rules. I think they're probably between us and China. They do have more restrictions, but like you see with all the pop-up permissions for allowing them to track you or add cookies, everybody just clicks yes, and they've found a way to work around the restrictions in the EU.
Do you think in the future in the United States, there will be any controls on this?
I really doubt it. We're too strong of a capitalist country to stop companies from making money off of people. It's too lucrative.
Out of curiosity, I also had a question about this program, if I could.
Go ahead, Alan.
I'm kind of curious, is this a publicly owned company? Is it privately owned? Have they ever made any money? Do you know anything about their finances?
I have not looked at their finances. They've been around for quite a few years, but I don't know what their profitability is.
Do you know if they're privately owned or a public company?
No, I didn't search that. Didn't look for that.
Mitch, do you know the answer?
I get turned on to them through.
I do not.
So Mitch, you don't know either?
No, I haven't looked it up.
Okay.
All I know is as far as I'm concerned, it's a better choice than Google.
Is Jerry King with us?
I didn't get that. Could you
Yes,
try again?
Jerry. Jerry? He is muted and he has his video off. Is he there? Jerry King, are you there?
Because he
All right.
usually has a lot of opinions in this area.
Yeah, someone text Jerry or email Jerry King, see if we can get him to get back to his desk. In the meantime, do we have any other questions or comments or experiences? What I find creepy, actually, my husband finds really creepy, is that sometimes we can be talking about something and then he'll start getting the ads on his phone. That rarely happens to me, but it happens to him a lot. And I'm just wondering, why is there such a difference? I know that I probably have more securities on my phone than he does, but I take a look at his phone to make sure. But it has happened so often that he's just very irritated by it.
Yeah, it is creepy. And that can come from lots of places. If you have Alexa listening to you all the time, it can come from there. Some TVs were sold, some smart TVs that have microphones, and they were listening to everything that was going on.
Mhm.
And selling that information. So it's really hard to say where it's coming from, but somebody's definitely listened to the.
Yeah, Robert, go ahead.
I have a comment on that. There is some controversy about Apple, in the good sense for Apple. Google and others don't like it, but Apple has that red and green light on the
Yes.
iPhone.
Mhm.
Sheila, you can probably know that better. Explain what happens there, because
Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
because it shows you when the phone is listening. Unfortunately, we don't have it on TV. We don't have it on many other devices that now have microphones.
Yes, it came out with iOS 14. When your microphone is on, you will get an indicator at the top of your screen. I believe for the microphone, it's either green or red, depending on if your camera is on or if your microphone is on. There's now an indicator on your iPhone that lets you know that it is being used.
So the green light indicates that somebody is listening.
The green light indicates that the app that is active is listening.
Let me see there, and someone just asked, we just did something about that recently. But there are two lights that come on. If your camera is on, if an app is using your camera, or if an app is using your microphone, you will be notified by that green or red dot that will appear at the top of your iPhone screen. So it's there. If you have iOS 14, it is there for you.
So if you use the Hey Siri instead of pushing a button to activate Siri, it has to listen to you all the time. And Alexa has to listen to you and send that off to Google all the time in order to determine if you said, Alexa, turn on my lights.
Conrad, can you make a comment about what you put in the chat? Conrad, are you there? If you are, we can't hear you. All right, Conrad. Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, the space bar didn't work. Regardless of which search engine you use, the AND operator, AND, conglomerates a lot of terms and makes your search very specific. I recommend that one little word very highly.
I didn't quite understand what he said.
Like I said in my example, if you type in dolphins, you're going to get a lot of Miami dolphins when you want to see about the mammal that swims in the ocean, dolphin. So you say dolphins and mammals.
Okay.
Or you always connect two words of interest, and that narrows your search down considerably. Got it?
George, you get it?
Yep.
All right, thank you, Conrad.
Yeah.
All right, Robert, did you have anything else to add, or anyone else? Any more questions?
Yeah, I do. It's Mitch.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Do you really have to use and, Conrad? Because a lot of times I just put comma in the next word.
That's probably identical. That's one of the things that Google put in there.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about that and business. Do you put a space between dolphin, is dolphin space and space mammal, or do you link them all together in one word?
just rules of English grammar. Just put a space where you would ordinarily put a space.
Thank you.
All right, Jerry King, are you back yet? All right, still no Jerry. Okay. Victoria, can you unmute yourself and make a comment about what you put in the chat?
Yes, thank you. I just was making a notice or noting that if you're researching, when I've used Google, and I honestly don't use DuckDuckGo very often, but when I use Google, they do have a way for you to limit what you're trying to find. And if you put in dolphins and mammals, you will get fewer than dolphins alone. You can also, there's a hash or something that you can put in against the word Miami, and that'll prevent you from getting the Miami Dolphins thing. The other thing I do, just because I'm lazy, is I do a time frame limit of 1 year. I figure most of what I'm looking for is not going to be older than a year. And if it is, then I'll go and look for it. So I try to limit the time frame as well.
When you say time frame, are you talking about clearing the cache?
No, I'm talking about in the top of when you go up to Google and you put in the search that you're doing, on the right-hand side under that or above all the stuff you get is a thing that says, I think, timeline. I don't have it open right now, but it says time, something like.
Can somebody show us that?
Yeah, well, let me pull up a quick search engine. Okay, it says if you put in the opening or in the area where you're searching, it says tools. That's it. If you do tools.
Can you share your screen, Victoria?
I don't know. I've never done it. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see what I can. Yeah, I can, except now that the other.
Yeah, Victoria's going to do a meeting in December. So
yeah, so I have to learn. That's right. I know that.
Right.
I know that.
Click on the, there you go.
Can you see it?
We can see it.
Oh, good, good, good. All my secret stuff too.
Yes.
Okay, I go to tools, you click on that, and then you get over here anytime, okay? And that's where you can limit past year, for example. That's what I do. And then you can do all results, and you can look for the specific words that you're using, etc. So, or that you can limit the things you're looking for. For example, if you're looking for books, or whatever. So I found that a good way to mean that I don't have to go through a billion results.
Oh, okay. I was, go ahead, Victoria.
No, you go ahead. What did you think I was saying?
No, I actually, I guess my mind was somewhere else. I was thinking about your search results, and when you said a year, that's how long I keep my search results. And I was wondering, I was going to pose this to Dale. Would it make a difference? Let's say if we do just use the regular, if we do use Google, would it make a difference if we cleared our cache out more often?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Theoretically, it would. If they truly use your cache as their reference engine. What we don't know for sure, does Google copy your cache into the big database that you can't clear?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point, because once they get it in,
I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay. Yeah, that was very good information, Victoria. Thank you.
Take a look in the chat. Also, Wayne Mertz put a link. Wayne, you want to talk about the link that you put in?
That's a link that came off via Yahoo Finance, and it talks about DuckDuckGo as a private company with looks like a venture capitalist just put in $10 million out of Toronto, but it's a Pennsylvania-based company, and that's all I read about it, and I put the connection, the link on the chat room.
All right, thank you, Wayne. There are some other links as well. Richard Cox put a link in the chat about what he was speaking on. So if you get an opportunity, take a look at some of those links, and George will be sending out a copy of the chat so that you can see those links as well if you don't copy them. Do we have any other questions or anything anyone would like to add? Go ahead, Mike.
Just a quickie, but I just had a quick look at DuckDuckGo, which I do use regularly, but I hadn't noticed that it has the same feature that Victoria was just describing, and that's going to be so useful. So thank you very much, Victoria.
All right. Okay. Alan.
Question. That business about restricting the search to 1 year. Can you make that the default length of the search, or do you have to change it every single search?
I've never tried that, frankly. I do it every search.
You have to do it every search.
Yeah, it certainly looks like that to me.
And besides, maybe you don't want a year, maybe you only want a month. There are times where I'm only looking for recent news and I only want a day or a week. So that's why it probably doesn't have a default.
All right, thank you.
So what do we think the default is? Forever?
As long as you're useful? Could be.
It probably is a default, yeah, according to what Google assembles. So it could probably, I've never gone down to the 14th million page to find out what's there, frankly.
Frank, you asked an interesting question in the chat. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. I was just wondering, there's a lot of times I do a search on DuckDuckGo, and there are, I'm like someone making a suggestion to help me on a photography shoot or something, and there's no way, there's never a date of when that item was posted, for the searched item was posted. And is there something I could do about that, or is there some way to get the dates posted? Because Google sure doesn't post a lot of dates. I'm not even sure why the pages are, why something appears before another. There's a whole science behind that, I guess. But is there a way to do that? Is there a way to get dates of the posts that you get in a search?
I have not seen that. And I think that's a very valid question, because sometimes I wonder, how old is this information? Because as things change and evolve, the answers may change. And if an article or something is not dated, I really don't know how much I can rely on what I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
So
is there a search engine that does that better with dates?
I don't. Yeah, I've not seen it, and I don't even think they do it by dates. I think they do it by how many hits this article has received.
Well,
So
I know that.
Go ahead.
I know that when you put in there the search for the last year, you'll get certain results, and you go in there and I'll say, well, I'm still getting too much. I'll put it in the last month, and I'll get some of the same results. So that indicates to me, over time, my experience has been that somebody's going in there and making a very small change so that it comes up all the time.
All right, Richard, do you want to make a comment about what you put in the chat?
Google, for me, does show when you get your search results, it shows 16 hours ago, or it shows 2015. You get a clear indicator on most results of how old they are. And that's crucial to knowing if they're worth looking at. Also, on the Google search page, if you click the tools control, it shows you a choice of time period and their default is anytime.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay,
All
so
right,
if it is any time, then it might be there. Okay.
So
Okay.
let me ask, Sheeta, are you saying that the search results that we get are based on the amount of hits they've had in the past?
I think so. In some cases, I think so. Yes. Because they pull up, the search engine can pull up what it considers to be the dominant article, not necessarily what you consider the right article. And sometimes it's, if it's depending on the SEO, depending on the keywords, it's searching for the keywords that you put in, but it's still, I believe, also going by, you know, hits and how many people have read this. So it may, you know, it just may be what, popular. It may not be the right article, but it may be popular. That's why when I'm doing a search, I dig down into all of those results, because sometimes the result I'm looking for is not at the top.
Can you,
Anyone go ahead?
as the, can one pay money to force a better search result?
Can anyone answer that?
If I'm the vendor.
Yes, you can.
And
But George, there's a whole science behind getting you to come up near the top of the Google search. I agree, Sheeta, it's partially based upon how often, but how often is based upon a lot of other things. I had a sister who was trying to get hers to come up the top. It's a very, very, very complicated way to get it up there. But people make a whole business at advising vendors how to get to the top. It's a very complicated algorithm. It's more than just how often. How often is a factor, but there are a lot of other factors as well.
Right. Robert, did you have a comment?
A very minor one. Just earlier, somebody mentioned Boolean algebra, and I just want to connect that for those who didn't understand what Boolean algebra is, with all the discussions that we had. It's all the discussion about these conditions, limiting conditions, do it if this is, or if this is not, or these conditions by which you limit the searches. That's what's called Boolean algebra. So there was nothing sophisticated said that was later on not part of the discussion.
All right, thank you, Robert. All right, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. Like I retired from being a college professor, and when I did searches back then, you could eliminate stuff by hitting a minus sign, no space, and the thing you wanted to eliminate it about the search. And plus would be if you wanted to add anything to the search. That has started to work intermittently only for me. It's like it get the same search. Each time I put a plus or a minus, I get the same search without any change. Is that gone away? Plus and minus to do your search?
I don't know, things evolve. So, you know, it could have.
And devolve.
Yes. Yes.
Looks like Victoria put something in there.
Settings. Victoria, you want to comment?
Yeah, I'm just, because I multitask, I'm just going into the Google thing, and I put in Dolphin minus Miami and did not get any, did not get any Miami Dolphins stuff, at least. I got a lot of interesting other stuff. But in any event, if you go in under there and it says settings, and then you go down, it says your data in search, and that's where you can browse or delete your search activity. And it says discover how your data makes search and other Google services work better for you. And you could see how you searched for whatever in the last hour. You could delete all your search activity. I suppose other than that, which Google has stored somewhere for them to use. And you can set up Google-wide control. So I would suggest, as I do whenever I do any new apps or new machines, is going into settings and setting up your settings first. And you might want to do that in general when you're in Google and probably other browsers.
Okay, thank you, Victoria.
Sure.
Wayne, go ahead.
The one thing in genealogy searching that's been beneficial is in the Google search, you put the specific name in quotes that you're looking for. And then if you're looking for a birth record, let's say sometime in the first decade of the 1900s, you put in 1900 to -1910, and you will only get returns from that time period. In parentheses, you put 1900, a parenthesis, 1900-1910, close parenthesis.
Thank you, Wayne. All right, any other comments or questions? And again, please take a look at the chat. We've got some interesting things in the chat for everyone. And
So I should send that chat out with the video.
definitely, I would send it out
Okay.
with a video. There's some
Okay.
good questions and some good information in here. Okay. right.
One quick question. Did anyone look at Ecosia? ECOSIA as a search engine? When you do the searches, they plant trees.
It uses Bing.
It uses Bing?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering, what they do and where they, get their funding and that kind of thing.
Ecosia plants trees. Is that a play on the word ecosystem?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't really used it. I've used DuckDuckGo and I use the Google search, but I tried it a couple of times, but I just haven't gotten back to it, and I didn't know that much about it.
Okay.
I didn't see anything about real privacy. They just said, yeah, we keep things private, but they didn't really explain that in as much detail as they do in DuckDuckGo.
Dale, if DuckDuckGo is rated a B, who's an A? Do you know?
I don't. It's like a Cold War. So it's constant moving targets.
So what is Google rated?
Oh.
Way down the list. They're, like I
It's
say,
a
they're
bar.
the gold standard for results. But man, you do pay a price. If you don't mind paying the price, that's fine. And I do use them a lot, but they know so much about everybody.
Frank, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, for some reason or other, I have it set so that when the speaker should be appearing as a bigger image on Zoom, and I'm stuck on our presenter here. It just doesn't go away, no matter who's
So that, no, because he's got, yeah, that's the way it's set right now.
Oh, that's set.
I don't think you have control over that. Does he? Sheila?
So you're just seeing Dale right now, Frank?
Yeah, all I'm seeing is Dale.
May I answer that as the host? I am setting the computer in such a way that I put the spotlight on the presenter. That's the reason.
Okay.
But I can remove the spotlight, and now I think anybody who talks will be shown.
Oh yeah, you just showed up. Okay, I just wondered.
Also, even though Dale was spotlighted, I had my Zoom in gallery view so I could see everyone. So that could
Right.
ease that, because that popping back and forth between who's talking gets irritating.
But I put Dale back, giving me back the spotlight because this presentation isn't over yet. So,
Okay.
but I think that's the system we have established, and that's the way we prefer. There had been, we've done it differently. So anyone who would speak would be spotlighted, but we also heard complaints from our audience. They didn't like that constant shift of spotlights. So we have adopted a policy, but that's up to our audience, and we can discuss that at any time, what the preference would be.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eckert. Jerry King, are you here?
Yes, I am. I was,
All
Census Bureau was at the door. I was away for a while.
All right. George, you had a question for Jerry.
No, Jerry, I thought this was a meeting that was right up your alley and wanted to know if you had any comments.
I was called away for 45 minutes with the Census Bureau, so I'm sorry I missed most of it. But I'm switching back to DuckDuckGo because I hate Google as much as Dale seems to.
No, I don't think he hates it as much as you do, though. But yeah, Jerry is very vocal in this area, and feels very, very strongly about Google is really a bad guy, and he has scared many of us, and that's why
Alan?
this meeting is very interesting.
All right, Alan, you had another question?
Yeah, I'm sorry for all these questions, but I'm an inquisitive type of guy.
ahead.
If you have a Gmail account or a Yahoo account, do they track you even if you use .gov? I mean, what's the relationship between the kind of account you have and the kind of tracker you use?
Google, if you have a Gmail account, which I do, Google scans all of your mail and looks for keywords that they can use to track what you're interested in and who you're communicating with. That's the nature of why it's free. It doesn't directly link to your searches, but it's part of the database on you, so that that's information they can sell.
So like for you, since you're concerned about them tracking your searches, you're not concerned about them tracking your email?
It seems a little inconsistent there, but at that point, I use Gmail because in my history, they've done an excellent job of sorting out spam and keeping my email clean for me. So I've been willing to pay the price.
Spam seed, Dale, spam seed.
Okay.
I do not have a Gmail account, won't ever have a Gmail account. Mitch, you had a comment, question?
Yes, I had a question on that I missed. I know was commented on. Why should I have the app on my iOS devices if I've got it already set as the default in the browser?
Well,
the DuckDuckGo.
It's just personal preference at that point on your iOS devices. If you like a simple browser, DuckDuckGo is a really simple browser. Some people just have a passionate hate against Safari, so they have an alternative. But if you're fine with Safari, I'd stick with it.
Okay. And Sheeta, what mail app are you using?
I use Apple Mail.
Oh, you use Apple Mail.
Apple Mail, and I have the Spam Sieve app that I bought as an extension. I've been using that for 20 years or more, or whenever I started using Apple Mail. I did not use Apple Mail when it first came out because I had another mail program that I absolutely loved. But once that was discontinued, I went over to Apple Mail, ported over Spam Sieve, and I do not get a lot of spam. And, as Mike mentioned last week, he uses Spam Sieve as well. That's what I use. I will not go to a Google account to save my life.
I will look that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is
On the, what is the name again on that spam?
Spam sieve, I'll put it in the chat. Spam sieve, just like it sounds. I'll put it in the chat. And I've been using it 20 years or so. Mike, you want to pipe in as well? Are you still here?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in exactly the same position as you, Sheeta. I've been using it for about 15, and I honestly see no spam at all. And I'd recommend everybody download it. I've no idea how much it costs, but I'm sure it's not very expensive.
I have
Have a quick look.
I think it's $30 one-time fee, and it's a download on your computer. And I guess if you set that up on your computer, then it's taking care of your mail coming to your iOS devices, Sheeta?
I don't know, because I have everything come in through Apple Mail. And so with iCloud, it takes care of everything. So whatever I see on my computer, I see on my iOS devices that, go through iCloud.com. So I just set it up on my computer. I don't even think they have an iOS app for it, but I've never had to worry about it.
You answered the question. Yeah,
okay.
That's what I wanted to know. If it came right through the cloud.
The M1 Max came out back in November. I've been trying as hard as I can to find an Intel MacBook.
Can someone mute their microphone with that? Thank you. Okay. I put the name of the app, Spam Sieve, in the chat box. If you search for Spam Sieve, you can see where you can purchase it and download it. What this app does is you train it. When email comes into your mailbox, you train it whether or not this email message is good. You train it whether it's bad, or spam, and it learns. It's one of I think the first apps that I saw that had machine learning, and it learns to look at these emails and say, okay, that one's spam, this one's good. And if it by chance mislabels the email, you can just click on the email and go to the messages menu and tell it, no, this is bad, or no, this is good. But it has been just excellent in keeping my email clean and keeping spam, out of my end folder. And then I just delete that, you delete those emails.
Sheeta, didn't you send out a bunch of that through the groups IO? Because it seems to me I just read about everything you just said in the last few days.
Well, we talked about it extensively in the last couple of meetings.
Right, right.
I think Mitch did you post it online in the groups IO? Because I did not. But somebody did. I didn't post it. Someone did. Could have, but either way, it's a great program, and I highly advise. It's like a couple of those programs like iMazing and SpamSeed. These are some that if you have an Apple device, you need it. You need to have those. Anyway, it is 12:45. I thank you all. And George, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And Dale, this sure stimulated a lot of conversation. And so it was interesting, although Dale ended his comments on DuckDuckGo about 20 minutes into the meeting lasted the full hour and 15 minutes. So it was a great meeting, a lot of back and forth. And you might want to turn off your mic, and we'll all thank Dale. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.